Genetics and imaging are both very exciting fields. I mean, they're both brand new and there's a lot of information in both types of data. But it's very difficult to see what genetic changes do to the brain. And so we all have millions and millions of base pairs in our genome. And you can imagine asking, well, how am I different from other people? How are these genetic changes affecting my brain and my behavior? One of the ways that we've done it with this Enigma project is we've collected 20,000 images and 20,000 genomes. And it's amazing that you can actually see the effects on the brain of single letter changes in your genome. And that's very exciting. You know, engineers and mathematicians can mine through the data and try and understand what makes the brain healthy and what makes the brain at risk for Alzheimer's disease and other disorders. And so often what we do is we find correlations with genes that might cause disease. And very often we use other databases to find out what the genes do. So if a gene causes migration of axons, you can begin to build a story about what that gene actually does in the brain. In translation experiments like knockout mice, you can look at removing the gene and seeing if the function is lost. And so often the imaging establishes the correlation, it just finds a pattern of connections. But then you go to more translational experiments and wet lab work to really delete the gene and see if that made any difference. There is a gene that was discovered recently that 1% of us have, and it's called TREM2, variant of this gene, and it doubles your risk of Alzheimer's disease. And this was only discovered very recently. It's very important. So, you know, if you think in the US, that's 3 million people that carry this very dangerous gene. So one of the things we were able to do with images is figure out how this gene affects the brain. And what actually happens is it speeds up the rate of tissue loss in the brain. So we may not notice this, and in fact, while we're healthy, this is going on all the time. Now there is a positive message in all this. So if you could find these people that have that gene, and you very